Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another crypto video. Today, we're talking again about Ripple and XRP. There are a couple of things going on that I think are crazy interesting, so I need to share them with you guys. I have a question for every single person watching this though. What year did you start investing in crypto? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video afterwards, make sure you press that like button.
Most people outside the United States don't really care that the SEC is suing us. I'll tell you a very quick, funny story. I'll keep it short. I was in the Middle East last fall, and we were meeting with customers. I have one of the Ripple team members who's based there. It's really early in the morning. My time zones are all screwed up. We're meeting with the CEO of a payments company, and but the employee from Team Ripple says, "Well, why don't you give an update on what's going on at Ripple?" And I start talking about the SEC. And after the meeting, he very delicately says to me, "No one gives a shit." And his point was, if you're not in the United States, the governments in Abu Dhabi, governments in Switzerland, Singapore, UK, Japan, they've provided the clarity how they view and categorize digital assets, and they don't care that the United States SEC has a viewpoint that is, pending in court. Most people outside.
That video was a good little example of what actually going on in the back end of things. In reality, the whole Ripple versus SEC problem lawsuit is pretty garbage if you think about it. It's not as if the SEC is fighting the battle of the cryptos, even though they're making it seem like they are with suing Ripple with all these grave consequences. Because in reality, the majority of other countries in the world don't share the same opinion that the US SEC has. And so the way in which the US SEC is twisting it, it's like this case here is gonna put on the map what XRP is forever, but you have to be a little bit more specific. This case is going to put on the map for the US what XRP is going to be, and for the US what crypto is going to be, as it's gonna have some very grave consequences, but only in the US. Now, that's also kind of what the context here is about. Most people outside the US don't really care that the SEC is suing us by Brad Garlinghouse, because nobody really cares. House of XRP says, "I like how he uses profanity more and more when describing his feelings and others regarding the SEC lawsuit." It becomes quite obvious. It's like, hey. And then Brad responds himself saying, "My outrage has grown as the litigation has unfolded. There's no recourse. There's no consequence to those that brought this lawsuit. The SEC's pursuit of a policy objective isn't about, quote, a faithful allegiance to the law," end quote. It's about power. There's no regard for those companies and people that this approach has harmed. We should all be outraged. The SEC has clearly forgotten that the government works for the people. And we keep saying this time and time and time again. I am not against the SEC. I'm against how the SEC is fulfilling their role. The SEC should be an entity that is there to protect the US investors, or at least the protectors of said country, specifically the US SEC for the US investors. They're not doing their job properly because in the whole wake of the Ripple lawsuit, they've hurt more investors than they've helped. They've caused way more harm than they've done good. And honestly, even if they think Ripple was bad, you have to pick the lesser of two evils. Either you're going to take a company down that's going to make way more damage to everybody with a potential to be right, or you're going to research it first with a potential to, in that midst of term, be wrong, but potentially not harm all the people in case you were, I guess, wrong yet again. Point being, the SEC had two choices. Either sue Ripple right now or let it go for a little while and do more research into crypto before starting this whole debacle. They decided to not really do their research and just go for it, which at the end of the day hurts so ridiculously many people for not that good a cause. You might ask yourself, so why did they do that? And the best answer to this is most likely a power grab. We've seen it from Gary Gensler. We've seen it from a couple of others at the SEC. It's mostly personal gain or status or anything along those lines, because you can't really say that it's really to protect investors because they're hurting them way more. It's also not as if there was a cease and desist against Ripple or any other company for that matter. So it's not as if they were thinking that people were going to lose more money by letting this go loose. Even Ben from BitBoy says, "Brad Garlinghouse is my hero. Very few of us are willing to call out the SEC for what they are." And I don't want to say exactly what he's saying, but he's calling them out really, really hard. Now, to not stay stuck on this though, here's what's actually going on in the Ripple v SEC lawsuit right now and what you need to prepare for. There's a little summary of things, but just know that there could be a couple of new entries to this list as things get figured out. And that was, for example, the case on October 11th. They didn't yet know that October 14th, there were going to be another couple of documents added to this list, which had to do with iJets, or I think it's iJets? No, TapJets and iRemit. They basically, those two companies utilize XRP and they wanted to join the court. Now, what's going on is parties file all materials relating to oppositions to summary judgment motions temporarily under seal. That's the most important thing. What's basically happening is over the next couple of days, we're going to see some responses for the last phase of the lawsuit. Again, as you guys probably remember, we have fact discovery, expert discovery, summary judgment. We're right now in phase 3 of 3, we hope. And that 3 of 3 phase has 3 main parts. The initial briefings, the opposition, so basically a response to these initial briefings, plus a further reply to that one again. Right now, this is basically phase 2 of a 3-phase plan. And even though tomorrow, let's say in 2 days, potentially tomorrow already, we're going to see those oppositions filed. They're going to be filed under seal, meaning we're not going to be able to see everything just quite yet until a couple days later, most likely. You can see October 20th, they're going to meet up and basically discuss what can be made public. And then on the 24th, so 4 days later yet again, we are all able to see a little bit of a dimmed version, but we're all able to see exactly what the responses are. And most likely here is where the majority of the dirt digging is actually going to be put to light. Ripple obviously is taking a look at everything the SEC has said. SEC is taking a look at whatever Ripple has said. And as far as I understand, here they're going to throw some heavy freaking shots at the opposite party, as they had a month to prepare this, right? They had a month to prepare a nice little reply. And since they're spending millions of dollars every single month, they probably will come up with something juicy. But it does bring us back to the earlier point. You know, Ripple is funding all of this from partially XRP sales, but let's just say private investment into, you know, these lawyers, hundreds of millions of dollars, whereas the SEC is government backed. In theory, the SEC could just sue anybody, as there's no consequences to them, even if they were wrong at the end of the day. There's nothing really that happens to them. And they could just kind of keep suing and suing and suing, and why not? There's a lot more going on afterwards, but the most important part, obviously, is this specific reply. And exactly 1 month later, once the public filing again comes for the initial or the eventual reply, everything intermediary might be important, like, for example, those amicus curiae pieces, so the friends of the court, or the William Hillman emails, but this is the core of the lawsuit, and the rest are like side quests, basically. You guys gonna still understand though, and I've shown this multitude of times, but I want to repeat it yet again. I personally think that if we had to put a risk to reward ratio for any crypto out there, that XRP would most likely have one of the best risk to reward. If you want to become a millionaire in the next year or so, there's so ridiculously many ways to do it, but let's just say 3 years, even if you're starting with $0. Because remember, a guy turned $8,000 into $5 or $6 billion with Shiba Inu, for example. It can happen to literally anybody with just a little bit of luck. I want to say, oh, just analyze it properly, but no, there is luck involved. However, the fact that you're already looking at this video means you're already ahead of, let's say, about 99.9% of the people investing in crypto. Or let's just say 99.9% of the people in the world in terms of investing, and ahead of a lot of people investing in crypto, because you're thinking about this lawsuit and the response that a win might give for the price. It's, in my opinion, such a logical investment. Then again, it's not financial advice. It's just my thoughts on the matter, but it's such a logical one. XRP went to $3-4. Bitcoin went to about $20,000. Ethereum went to about, let's say, $1,400. Over the next 3 years, most of those cryptos 3x'd. XRP didn't because they got sued. It's just logical, in my opinion, that this time around, they're going to be regaining a lot of their market cap, maybe even take over Ethereum again and just go absolutely wild. Now, I think later today, I have to give you guys another XRP-centered update, as I actually have so ridiculously many articles and things open that I think are all connected together. At the end of the day, the banking system and XRP are very much linked in one another, and we've talked about it before. People used to look at XRP and say, oh, but that's that banker coin. Right now, they're looking at Bitcoin and hope that it's going to be more intertwined with banks. People used to laugh at XRP and say, oh, it's a stable coin, or oh, it wants to work with these banks with stable coins and whatnot, in the same sense like Stellar does. And right now, people are like, oh, damn, that's actually literally going to be the future. Even Kevin O'Leary is explaining the first piece of major crypto regulation, ow, I bit my tongue, is probably going to be stablecoin related. And Ripple, Stellar, all these guys are working hard at that realm, but specifically just this between bank payment systems. Now again, you might look at JP Morgan and ask yourself, why are they doing so bad? I honestly think because people are starting to notice this banking realm is not as important as it used to be, and we're getting over to a new standard. Again, even an ex-Morgan Stanley CEO admits crypto could be a huge way powering monetary transactions. But again, we're going to get into that in the next episode. I'll post that episode later today, so do not worry about it, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these daily crypto videos. Let me know down below what coin you'd like to see an update on next. I have a couple of very cool things coming up though, so do not worry about it. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.